Check, check. Good. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to F1 Broke Boys. And it's time for the season finale of Tier 3, Season 12, round 12 of the season. And it's time to decide both championships tonight at Silverstone. Heading into this round, Tolu is our championship leader, but the gap towards Soul Demon is only 3 points. So it's very exciting in the Drivers' Championship. In the Constructors, not as exciting. Sauber leads by 40 points, meaning that if they score 7 points or more, they will be crowned Constructors Champions. But as we know, we have seen early in the season, Sauber does know how to throw away a comfortable win, but I would assume they will not tonight, because Soul Demon has got the fight for the championship tonight. And this is his best shot. 3 points behind Tolu as we kick off qualifying around the British circuit. Then there's already quite a few drivers going out for their first runs. 18 minutes as always. And it's sunny skies around the Silverstone circuit. Well, a few clouds, but no rain in sight. And out on track, the first one to go out is the first driver in the championship, Tolu, in the Alpine. We know that he lost the championship last season in the very last race, on the very last lap, from a comfortable position. Let's hope for him that he's not going to be replicating that and could fight legitimately for the championship with Soul Demon. Silverstone is a really good track for racing, and this qualifying session is going to be important, but I reckon we will see quite a few DRS trains, which was the case yesterday in Tier 1. Basically from start to finish, pretty much a DRS train for the top 10 or the top 6 near the end. So it is going to be very exciting indeed, as Tolu warms up his tires. And this is going to be the most important qualifying of the season. And he really cannot afford a mistake or starting at the back of the grid. As he makes his way through the final chicane, through Vale and Club, onto the Hamilton Straight to start his first flying lap as we ride on board with our championship leader. Flat out through turns 1 and 2, and down at the braking zone of turn 3 into village, tight on the apex, and line up your car on the outside and turn sharply to the inside, early on throttle, flat out kink to the left and onto the Wellington Straight as Tom has joined the lobby. Not sure why hopefully he's not going to be driving as we go into Brooklands turn 6 and a very long turn 7. It's very difficult to pinpoint exactly where you want to go on throttle. Now, flat out of Woodcote and towards Cobb's Corner, which is flat out these days. And on this game as well, there's a McLaren up ahead. Hopefully not. He's not going to hell up our championship leader, and he's not. As he goes into Maggots and Baggots, can be quite easy to just run out a little bit too wide or run it a little bit too narrow and pick up invalidation, but he doesn't. As we go onto the hanger straight, a few more corners to go on this lap. Stowe can be quite tricky to get right, as Unamaster with the qualifying ban has retired from the session. Now into the final chicane, where you have to really watch out for that curb on the inside of both of these corners, and then flat out to the line. The first lap time on the board is going to be a 126.728, and let's see who's going to be able to beat that. Wardy goes second, 2 tenths behind, but his teammate Kai goes faster by 3 tenths of a second. But let's wait for the two Saubers. They are always quick in qualifying. At the moment, not really, because Soul Demon has invalidated his first flying lap. But he is going to start another lap, and so is his teammate right behind. So let's keep an eye out on the Kick Saubers. Have always been strong in qualifying this season. Have been on board more than any team has, but not always have been able to convert it into a race win. R5 Wall, P6 just behind TXT, and Sly DJ finds himself into the top 5. As we look at the Kicksauber Twitch Derby, up to P4, 27-0. Are we going to see any 25s tonight? I would hope not, because Tier 1 pole position was a 25-7. But at the moment we're already near to a low 26. And Saubers are yet to set their lap times. There's an Alpine going off into the grass to avoid. Soul Demon invalidates once again. This time through Maggots. And his teammate somehow doesn't do the same, even though I thought he got the track too much there, but he's lucky enough to not invalidate. Same can't be said for his teammate, as the pressure might be getting to him in this season finale. But there's still a lot of time left in the session to try and set a representative lap time on the board. 12.5 minutes to be precise. But we look at his teammate, Jumpy Painter, as he is going to cross the line for a 126.7. It's a safe first lap, good enough to put him inside the top 3. And his Soul Demon starting the lap, he is. So his third attempt has got enough fuel in the car to try and go for another lap. 27.5 in the first sector, slightly quicker than he did on his previous attempt. As we got 16 drivers with a lap time. A few new drivers on the grid. A Sniper in the McLaren and Kirazu in the Visa Ketchup RB, both making their debut tonight. Moment set in P14 and 15, but Soul Demon, he's kept it within the white lines through Maggots and Baggots. So it's looking good so far for the Sauber, although we know his stars have worn out quite a bit now, as it is his third lap on these softs, his third push lap, and then another out lap as well. So his stars have seen better days. But he is finally going to get a lap time on the board. Let's see what it's going to be. Is it going to be anywhere near his teammate? It is P6 for 26.9. As Keinson and Shark have set the exact same lap time for P4 and P5. But the Alpine did set it earlier. And Alpine, well, they are still mathematically in the Constructors' Championship fight. But they will need to hope for a miracle. They will need to gain at least 40 points. Probably 41 on Sauber. But Keinson is doing a good job so far to be near his teammate at the front, as that's one of the McLarens going into the pit lane in quite a creative way. This was a Sniper all over the grass. 10 minutes remaining. And Twoosh Derby has invalidated. What about his teammate? Lennon's down in P14. He's not on an improvement, and he's going to head back into the pit lane as well. So Jesus, the only remaining driver with a lap time, but he is going to do just that. But it's going to be at 27, and P10. To be fair to him, higher than he used to be in qualifying on his first run, right behind his teammate. So not too bad of an effort for the two-time Tier 3 world champion. Not in the fight this year though. And the same could be said for Wardy. He's been in the championship fight on every single season, but never really had a chance of winning it all. He's at P3 in the championship, 31 points behind Tolu. And with 27 as the maximum amount of points you can score in a race weekend, means he is out of contention ahead of this final race. As the man directly behind him, Twitch Derby, is up on his time by a few hundredths of a second. 6/10 of, well, he will need to find a little bit more time in order to gain a position, as Wardy is around 1.5 tenths ahead of the Red Bull driver. And he crosses the line, and he does go just ahead of Wardy by 2 thousandths of a second. And Tolu has started another lap, and he's up on his time by 14 thousandths through Sector 1. At the moment he's almost 3 tenths behind Kai, with an absolute monster lap so far in qualifying. He's 26.4. Is going to be difficult to beat. He is on another lap himself as well, so we'll keep an eye out on his projected time so he can provide any type of improvement to his 26.4. Let's see. Let's take a look at his sector split. Half a tenth. He's up on his time. And Tolu is as well. 1.5 tenths now. He will need to have a magical final sector to pull it off. But he can certainly extend his gap to the Sours. As Kai seems just a little bit too far out of reach so far in qualifying. Tolu crosses the line. He improves, but stays in second place. And what about Kai? Was on pole in Las Vegas. Is still up on his time by half a tenth. Can he pull this through into the final sector and go for 26.3? As he rounds the final corner, the Haas runs out slightly wide. Is that going to cost him time? No, it does not, as he goes fastest with a 1:26.262. And what a lap. He's 5 tenths ahead of Jumpy Painter, as Kirazu in the RB goes up to P3 with a very good lap time. Finds himself on the second row. As Kynes on with a slight lock up there into Brooklands. He's got a Haas just ahead of him. How it gets out of the way, Wardy. And I think Kynes has backed off on his lap. He has. So the two Saubers right now, P4 and P8. And Soul Demon has started another lap, his 4th lap of the session with 6 minutes to go. He needs to be higher up the order, because if he's in P8, it's going to be a very difficult task to beat Tolu. But the margins are fine, because Wardy, Kindson and Shark are all separated by 1/1000th of a second. Soul Demon improves by 400 through Sector 1. Which would put him, ironically, 1,000 behind Shark. But I'm sure he's going to be able to find more time throughout the rest of the lap, because his best lap was on 3 lap old softs. Just needs to keep it within the white lines. And he's doing just that as he goes through Chapel. And onto the hanger straight, is up by 1.5 tenths, which could potentially put him ahead of his teammate and onto the second row. Maybe even ahead of the RB if he nails the final sector. 5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Kai, at the moment, seems unbeatable. In qualifying at least, Soul Demon crosses the line and he goes up to second place with a great improvement in the final sector. And he is most importantly ahead of his championship rival. 1 point is awarded for pole position. But at the moment that point will go to Kai. And what about his teammate? Wasn't able to improve through sector 1. But he completely turns that around through sector 2. I think it was the exact same gap. He was over his time, now he's under it. By just over 1/10 of a second, which could put him directly behind Tolu. Nice and tidy out of the final chicane, and Wardy does go directly behind Tolu, actually directly ahead of Giratsu with 0.02 of a second. But Haas, P1 and P4, Sauber, P2 and P6, and Alpine, P3 and P7. Haas not in the fight anymore for the Constructors' Championship. They are 54 points off Sauber. So we got 3.5 minutes to go, and we are preparing ourselves for the final runs. And Tours Derry is going to start his flying lap. He is going to kick off those final runs. And let's see what he's going to be able to do. Hasn't been on the podium this season, I think. But he could change that tonight in the final race of the season. And he starts off with a decent first sector, 600ths in the green. I lied, he has been on the podium before this season, but he could turn it into 2 podiums. Of course, but makes his way out of the SS. And has he found more time? He certainly has. 0.2 are in it, and that could potentially get him inside the top 6 and ahead of Jumpy Painter. Down into the final chicane. Very easy to mess up. But he gets it right. And is that going to be a top 6 for the Red Bull? Yes, it is. P6. And Soul Demon was directly behind him, up on his time by 19,000ths of a second. Oh, I can tell you that's not going to be enough for pole position. Is it going to be improvement though? Yes, it is, by 1/10 of a second. But he misses out on pole position by 700ths compared to Guy. Now I wonder if he's got enough fuel in the car to go for a cooldown lap and then for another push lap right at the end. Soul Demon has won 3 races this season, Tolu's won 2. As Wardy's retired from the session, slightly just improving by 0.3 of a second, the entire top 14 within 1 second. Let's see if Sly DJ is going to be able to convert his P13 into a top 10. As he rounds the final corner in his Mercedes. Just missing out of the top 10. P11 it is, as that is Shark, who has spun out of the final chicane. And he is not going to be improving because he's not got enough speed to go for another push lap, unfortunately for him. But let's take a look at our drivers who are fighting for pole position. Kai is certainly one of them. So is Toto, who has just started his lap. Jumpy Painter is halfway through his lap. I don't think he's going to be able to find 5/10 of a second. But could he get anywhere near his teammate? Because he will need to help Soul Demon tonight for the championship. He's up by under 2/10 of a second, which could put him on the second row. Soul Demon unable to make it to the flag in time to go for another lap, so he will be P2 at best. As Jumpy Painter crosses the line, and he goes up to P3 ahead of Tolu, most importantly. But Tolu is on the lap himself, but he's not improving right now. Alpha Hype Wall with a P5. Wow, what a lap from the RB. Puts himself inside the top 5. His teammate is going quick as well. But let's take a look at Tolu and Kai. Kai is going to pull into the pit lane, so it's all about Tolu, but he's still not improving. So it looks like Kai's pole position is safe at the moment. But can Tolu put himself ahead of Jumpy Painter at least? He has to find some time in this final sector. It's going to be crucial, because if he starts behind both Saubers, then it's going to become a very difficult evening. As the Alpine rounds the final corner, Tolu crosses the line, and he goes ahead of Jumpy Painter by a few hundredths of a second. But he has split the two Saubers and has put his Alpine in P3. Now we look at his teammate Kainzon, who's down in P10. Can he get anywhere near his teammate to potentially help him out in the race? He crosses the line, but he stays in P10. And now Mahmoud, the final arrival to cross the line, he goes into P12 directly behind his teammate. But it's Kai on pole position with a great lap and 700ths ahead of Soul Demon. And Soul Demon is going to start directly alongside his championship rival, and his teammate is right behind him in P4. And this is going to be a very interesting lining up for the race. Kai on pole ahead of Soul Demon and Tolu. Jumpy Painter, parts of LP5 on his return. Alpha Pole P6, Wardy. Throughout to Hysteria and Kainzon rounds up the top 10. Had the two Aston Martin TXT, Jesus, Sly DJ, Lennons, Sniper, and S&M VoIP in P8. And in Unomaster starts at the back of the grid due to his qualifying ban. But now we get to prepare ourselves for the main event of the night, the season finale at Silverstone. Pretty much the same weather conditions as we had in qualifying. But this sure is gonna be entertaining. It always is in Tier 3, but the season finale just always hits different. And it is very, very close. Soul Demon lines up in second, Tolu in P3. But he has got Jumpy Painter right behind him, who's going to try everything to help his teammate win the Drivers' Championship, while also securing the Constructors' Championship. Strategy-wise, we are going to be looking at a soft medium or medium soft. Both are possible and very doable. It's going to depend on how this race will unfold. If there's any possible safety cars, you could throw around your strategy. Can Kai go for his second win of the season? Will he play any role in the championship fight? You know he's got nothing to fight for. He's got nothing to lose, and he's here to win. But Soul Demon, and especially Tolu, have got things to lose. Surely Toto doesn't want to lose the championship again in the season finale. Last season it was at Abu Dhabi with a wet race, where he was involved with a collision with Bartseval on the final lap of the race, which allowed Jesus to bring home the championship, his second championship. Bartseval is starting in P5, so could be dangerous, but let's hope we don't see a replica of that at the moment. Both of them starting on the soft compound tire. A few drivers around him opting for the mediums. As unfortunately Tom is on the grid, but I think he left the session, so his AI will be racing around, ghosted. Hopefully that's not going to cause any trouble. The nerves are high, and the stakes are high as well. Are you ready for the season finale of F1 Broke Boys Tier 3 Season 12? Here we go. Kai on pole, Soul Demon on P2 with Tolu alongside him. And the lights are out for the season finale here at Silverstone. Kai gets a great start as Soul Demon immediately has to fight off his championship rival. Wheel to wheel he goes, slightly alongside Kai, who's able to maintain his lead. Here comes Toto, already having a look at his championship rival. He's going to try to go long around the outside. That's not going to work out. Jumpy Painter also having half a look up the inside as Soul Demon sends it up the inside of Kai, but he's unable to complete the move. Actually, they're still side by side through the kink. Somebody on the inside. Toto is going to have a look at the kick Sauber ahead of him, but he is going to have to go the long way around the outside as they go wheel to wheel, almost 3 wide. Jumpy Painter goes up the inside. That's very close for contact, and Jumpy Painter crucially gets past Toto around the outside as they're wheel to wheel on the exit, and Jumpy Painter is going to edge just ahead of Toto. Soul Demon has taken the lead of this race, and Jumpy Painter does get past Toto, and he's up into P3 as SLM VoIP has had a moment. He's gone off in the back, while Toto is down to P4. He's lost the position to Jumpy Painter, while his championship rival Soul Demon has gained the position against Kai. And that is Uno Master going off in the SS. He's down to P20 and picks up a 3-second time penalty for good measure. Soul Demon in the lead, ahead of Kai. Then it's Jumpy Painter. And Tolu down to P4, and that's Kai going very wide through Stowe, and that allows Jumpy Painter to get through a bit of contact between the two. Kai is on the mediums, so the cars around him are going to have the tire advantage, and it's a Sauber 1-2 at the end of lap 1. Soul Demon, fastest lap of the race, and it's up to Toto to get past Kai as soon as possible. If we look at the tires, actually Toto is on the mediums, so he switched last second. So the two Saubers going for the aggressive strategy, mediums to softs, softs to mediums, sorry, but they're the only ones on softs inside the top 8. And are they going to try and build a gap towards Kai, who is on the mediums, but he's hanging on to the cars in front of him, and so is Toto, but the gap is around 8 7 tenths of a second. And he cannot afford to drop behind the DRS range, so he's going to have to push his ERS a little bit. Already close to the back of Giratsu, and 2 V-Carbs, P6 and P7. Alpha Ball has been doing a good job so far to remain in position right behind Bartseval. Kai is close behind Jumpy Painter. Jumpy Painter is closing the gap towards Soul Demon, but no moves being made on the second lap. But it does help Toto with closing the gap down to around 3/10 of a second. As we are at the end of lap 2, and the top 4 has remained the same. As yellow flags are out, and that's Mahmudev, moves up into the gravel trap and has spun around in the final chicane, but he's able to continue. Jumpy Painter with a defensive line against Kai. And here comes the Haas up the inside. Jumpy Painter does not leave him a lot of space. And he is going to stay ahead for now. Kai having half a look up the inside. But he's not going to be able to pull that off. Jumpy Painter stays in second place. But he's going to try and go up the inside there. And that's not enough space. And he has to back out. And stay in P3 while the gap towards Soul Demon is growing to almost over 1 second. Oh, and that was very close for Kai to hit the back of Jumpy Painter, and through goes Tolu, and he's now up into P3. And if Jumpy Painter does not have the DRS, then this is going to be a great opportunity for Tolu to get past the Kick Sauber up ahead. And he does not have the DRS. Here comes Tolu. And he's going to fight with Jumpy Painter up the inside. He goes the Alpine. But he's going to get past Jumpy Painter. He's up into second place. And now he can close the gap towards Soul Demon. But look how close Jumpy Painter is to the back of the Alpine. He's going to send it up the inside into the final chicane. We go wheel to wheel for second place contact between the two. But Tolu stays just ahead. But the gap is now over 1 second. And Tolu's going to try and push all of his ERS to get back within DRS range. He cannot afford to drop behind, and he has done so. So Tolu, very good defensive driving to stay ahead of Jumpy Painter. And now we can try and chase after Soul Demon. And most importantly, is in between the two Saubers as Kai runs slightly deep into turn 3. Allows Parzival to have half a look up the inside. But Tolu struggling to stay within DRS range, but he still has the DRS. Going on to the Wellington Straight. And the gap is closing to around 0.6 of a second. Of course, Soul Demon has got the tire advantage at this stage. The softs being the quicker tire in the opening few laps. So he's going to have to take advantage of that. But at the moment, Tolu is doing just enough to stay within striking distance of the Kick Sauber ahead. As yellow flags are out once again, and that's Unomaster. Gone off for a second time. And he's actually got front wing damage. As he was pointing in the wrong direction. Out of left field. 0.6 of a second is the gap between Soul Demon and Tolu. As Jumpy Painter is closing the gap, but he's not going to go for the move now. As we see Vardy wheel to wheel with the RB, but unable to complete the pass. TXT drops down to P13 behind Twisteri and Kainzan. And I swear, Twisteri started higher up the order. He did, so he's dropped 3 places already in this race so far. Not a great start for the Red Bull, but still a long way to go. Oh. Currently sat in P12 and chasing the Alpine. And look at the gap. And Jumpy Painter sends it up the inside of Tolu, but that is not going to work out. And Tolu has the better traction to hold it around the outside. Unomaster retired from the session. And now Jumpy Painter is under pressure from Kai, trying to go around the outside into turn 6. But he's not going to go for it. And Parzival now having half a look inside of Kai. Top 5 are so close to each other and fighting it out like it's the last lap. But we still got 21 laps to go after this one. Bit of a gap towards Alpha High Wall in P6. But the battle is heating up at the front. Tolu in between the two Saubers. And is he going to attempt an overtake onto the Hangar Straight? He's going to employ the battery. And he's closing the gap to his championship rival. Tolu pulls to the inside, and Tolu is going to take the lead of this race on lap 5. On P3 on the grid, the Alpine is back ahead of the Sauber. He's on the mediums, but he's ahead of his championship rivals, and that is Parzival up the inside of Kai. But once again, unable to complete the overtake and has to stay behind in P5. And at the moment, we've got the entire top 12 within DRS range of each other, and that is running wide. Lennon's out of the final car into the gravel trap, whilst going wheel to wheel with S&M VoIP. As Tolu leads the way, and that is Kai up the inside of Jumpy Painter, just like Jumpy Painter did a lap ago on Tolu. This time it's the Sauber having the better traction around the outside. And here comes Soul Demon once again, and he's going to re-overtake Tolu into Brooklands. And he's got the job done. Now he has got Jumpy Painter directly behind Tolu again as Parzival goes the long way around the outside of Lovefield. Is he going to finally be able to complete this move? I think he is, with the help of some ERS, and Parzival is up into P4. Oh, what's going on there? Toto, for a brief moment, there was a wheel-to-wheel with one of the Saubers into Maggots and Baggots. But fortunately for him, and they backed out. And here he comes again with DRS, pulls alongside, and retakes the lead at the end of lap 6. As the two RBs go wheel-to-wheel. Alpha ball on the inside, his teammate running slightly wide, and Wardy's going to try and get past both of them. And he go into the braking zone, and he just go for a double overtake, and he hits the back of his teammate slightly as Parzival's out of shape into that final chicane, which can be very tricky on the braking. When you're in a DRS train like this, you always have to be mindful to the car ahead, because they will brake earlier than you expect when you're all bunched up like that. But fortunately, no one getting tagged around. Toto still in the lead of this race, but I reckon Soul Demon is going to change that. Going onto the Wellington Straight as he pulls alongside again to get himself back into the lead of this race. They're just swapping around back and forth. Our two championship rivals. The winner takes all tonight in Silverstone. And for now, it's Soul Demon out in front. As Alpha High Wall has dropped behind. Kai out of DRS range now, but I think he's just got back into it. Under 9/10 of a second. And here comes Toto again for another round. And he gets past Soul Demon. Back into the lead of this race, Parzival. Trying to find a way past Jumpy Painter. And he's going to send one up the inside. Is he? No, he's not. But he's gone quite deep. And Kai trying to go for the switchback, but he clips the inside curb. And Parzival will stay ahead for now as SM VoIP, I think, has at a moment. They drop down the order down to P17. And are we going to see a repeat of the last few laps where Soul Demon overtakes Toto onto the Wellington Straight, and then Toto re-overtakes onto the Hangar Straight. Here he comes, up the inside, Soul Demon, and he gets ahead. As Toto into P2, what his teammate has just got a 3-second time penalty and stuck down in P12. And R5 well once again outside of the DRS range, and this time it's definite as S&M VoIP has gone off once again, spun around. In the braking zone of Brooklands. Quite a strange place to go off. And look how Jumpy Painter, how close he is to the back of Tolu. And he has got a better exit. Soul Demon slightly out of shape, out of chapel, and here comes Tolu, switches to the left hand side. And he's going to get ahead once again. As Jumpy Painter, he's got Parzival trying to go for the double overtake, Soul Demon down to P4, Parzival up the inside of Jumpy Painter, a bit of contact between the two, and Parzival with a double overtake, and he's up into second place. The two Saubers down to P3 and P4, but Jumpy Painter still up the inside of Parzival into the final chicane on the outside, bit of contact once again. We're going 3 wide into the final corner, and Soul Demon is up into second place, while his teammates up into the gravel trap. And that is going to allow Kai to get through as well. And Toto now has got a 1 second gap towards his championship rival Soul Demon. And it's going to stay that way. 1.2 seconds now as Parzival has half a look up the inside again. While Jumpy Painter fights it out with Kai into turmoil. More contact between the two. It's getting feisty out there as Jumpy Painter gets forced off track. And that allows Wardy now to get through. And up into P5. Jumpy Painter drops down to P6. As Soul Demon has to fight off Parzival now. He's dropped down to P3 while Tolu is comfortable out in front. He's got a 1.2 second gap to Parzival in second place as Jumpy Painter and Kai still fighting it out. And Kai is getting his elbows out on the exit, still staying ahead of the Kick Sauber. As the Sauber stars will start to drop off in these few laps. But crucially, Tolu is out in front and he's got a gap towards the Saubers. But we know that the Kick Saubers will pull into the pit lane earlier and will go for the undercut, so it's definitely not over yet. But at the end of the race, Toto will have the tire advantage. And here comes Soul Demon. He's going to try and get past Parzival again, and he's going to put himself into second place ahead of the McLaren to try and get that gap down to under a second, but it's not going to be easy. And Alpha Walls had a moment. He's dropped a lot of positions down to P11. And under braking twist there. Having to take avoiding action. Trying to find a way past the RB as we go wheel to wheel into the final corner. Red Bull on the outside. And almost we get a replica of what happened earlier this race. With Lennon's getting pushed into the gravel trap. But doesn't happen to twist there. He stays ahead of Alpha Wall. And he's into P11. Alpha Wall unfortunately down to P12 now. After that. Kick onto a double stack. I would hope not, because they will lose time with that. As Parzival is going to try and find a way around the outside of Soul Demon. He's fighting it out with the Sauber, and that is not helping Soul Demon at all in his fight for the race win and the championship. With Stodu still 1.2 seconds ahead. Two Haas drivers now in the mix as well. Wardy ahead of Jumpy Painter, who seems to be falling off slightly now with the tires. Was busy fighting it out with both the Haases. And he runs wide as well through Chapel. But the Saubers, they can't really double stack because they will lose too much time. So one of them is going to have to pull in a lap earlier. But Soul Demon is going to fight Parzival into the final chicane, and that is going to hold him up. And he has almost got top around by Kai there. As the Haas were getting very close, and look how much Soul Demon is struggling with the rear tires. Back end stepping out as TXT and Sniper both with a 10-second time penalty, and both retiring from the session in the process. That brings our retirement tally up to 4, as that is Kai having a look up the inside of Soul Demon. He's getting very aggressive out there with the Saubers, it seems. But he can't quite find a way past Soul Demon just yet. Tolu, he's got 9/10 of a second. Parzival has got back within DRS range. But that's bad news for Tolu and good news for Soul Demon. Now with the DRS, he's going to be able to stay ahead of Soul Demon. And when are the Saubers going to pull into the pit lane? Because the pit window is around lap 12, I believe, as I started on softs as well yesterday. And it did go until lap 12, and Soul Demon is going to pull into the pit lane at the end of lap 11. But he has to keep his speed limit. Oh no, Soul Demon! 10-second time penalty. How did he fumble that? I thought for sure he had it under control as he went to the pit lane, but he still sped into the pit lane, and Soul Demon with a 10-second time penalty. And has that ruined his chances of the championship? Because he will lose so much time. And if there is not another safety car, or a safety car in general, then that penalty will stand to the end of the race, and for sure Tolu will be able to finish ahead. Absolutely massive for the championship. And Soul Demon, did the nerves get to him? Because his chances of winning the championship are well and truly over if it stays like this. Wow, what a turnaround in this race. Great news for Tolu. Who knows, if he just finishes ahead of Soul Demon, he will crown himself world champion. It's the top 3 now who have broken away after Soul Demon's pit stop. Jumpy Painter, he's got back ahead of Wardy, and now finds himself wheel to wheel with Shark, but he stays ahead for now. He's going to pull into the pit lane on this lap. He is. Now is Jumpy Painter going to be able to keep it under the speed limit, which is slower than the other tracks? And he is, unlike his teammate. And I still can't quite believe, because that it really is an anticlimax to the end of this championship. But we're only halfway through this race, That could be a safety car where he could get it removed. And he could charge back through the field. You never know. In Tier 3. It's over when it's over. And when the flag falls at the end of this race on lap 26. He comes out ahead comfortably to his teammate. Yeah, Jump Painter in fact drops behind Jesus. Jesus with the undercut. Has got himself in between the two Saubers. Twisteri finds himself wheel to wheel with Kainzon on the run through Cobb's corner. Surely not, we're going to go wheel to wheel through here. Kainzon, I think he's going to back out, and he is. So Twisteri, nice move there, got up at the P7. And now he's going to try and chase after Wardy. Whoa, Kainzon round the outside of Alpha wall. That was very close between the two of them. Spartavo takes the lead of this race. At the end of lap 13, we have a new race leader at the British Grand Prix. As these two are still going at it, Kainzon and Alpha Ball. Shark pulls into the pit lane from P4. From mediums to what will be softs, I would assume. They're still going wheel to wheel in the background. Kainzon and Alpha Ball putting up a fight here for P7 at the moment. On track. But Kainzon pulls ahead as Alpha Ball backs it off. On the braking for turn 3. Soul Demon, fastest lap of the race. It's going to be a hell of a task to win this race. Because he will have to build a gap of over 10 seconds towards Tolu. And he is going to need his championship rival. I was going to say his rival, but his teammate for that. He's going to have to hold up Tolu like crazy when they pit at the front. Still continuing on lap 14. Four seconds is the gap between the top three and Kiratsu in P4. And Tolu re-inherits the race lead. At the end of lap 14, he's got back ahead of Partsval. And he's going to pull into the pit lane. Keep it under the speed limit, mate. That's all you need to do. And he does so successfully. And so does Partsval and Kai, all three of them, into the pit lane onto lap 14. And Twisteri is unable to keep it under speed limit. He's picked up a 10-second time penalty as well. And that is very unfortunate, because he was looking quite competitive in this race. But let's take a look at where Tolu is going to come out compared to the two Saubers who pitted 2 laps ago. I'm sure Soul Demon will be ahead, but I'm not that confident that Jumpy Painter will be ahead, and he's not in fact. Tolu comes out behind Soul Demon, and so does Partsival and Jesus, the Jumpy Painter. He's got 2 cars in between himself and Tolu. And Tolu is only 1.5 seconds behind Soul Demon. And now he will realize that his championship rival has picked up a 10-second time penalty, which will make things a lot easier. The two Visa Cash App RBs, the only 2 drivers staying out, both starting on the mediums. .3 as Parzival is closing the gap while R5 Ball pulls into the pit lane. His teammate will continue on for another lap. Parzival runs slightly wide on the exit of Stowe. Another fastest lap of the race for Soul Demon, but I wonder how long that will stand with the drivers chasing him behind on the softs. Took a lap to heat up the tires. Tolu can now try and start gaining on Soul Demon. 1.3 is the gap still, but he's got Parsifal for company behind, who is trying and looking for his first win of the season. That's not true, he's won before. Looking for his third win of the season, in fact. But he's missed a lot of races, which is why he's down the order in the championship. P6 on 76 points. And Jesus 2.5 seconds behind. And he's got Jumpy Painter and Kai right behind. And Kai from pole position has dropped behind quite a bit, and he's not really in the fight for a race win anymore. Unfortunately for him. And neither is his teammate. Wardy's down in P10. Fighting it out with Twisteri and Kainzon. As Kirazzo finally pulls into the pit lane. Tolu, he's got within DRS range as Jumpy Painter is going to go around the outside of Jesus. Turns in quite aggressively, and Kai trying to go along. And he's up the inside of the Mercedes. Hits the inside curb, but he gets the job done. Kai now up to 6th place as Parsifal with the fastest lap of the race. And Soul Demon, what has happened there then? He's dropped behind the P3. Did he make a mistake coming out of the final corner? Or did it just let him through? What happened to Soul Demon? He's 1.1 seconds behind Tolu and Parsifal. Was there contact? Because he's out of the DRS range of Tolu and Parsifal at the front. And that for sure has absolutely destroyed his chances of winning the championship tonight. Because Tolu and Parsifal will be out of reach on these new soft compound tires. Kai is 2.7 seconds behind, but I wonder what happened there. It's just really strange. As Parsifal is going to go for a race lead, gets ahead of Tolu. I'm sure Tolu doesn't mind too much if he doesn't win this race. All he cares about is the championship. And at the moment, he's got it in the bag, but it was a similar situation last season, where we thought that he had it in the bag for sure. But then on the final lap, he lost the championship. So we still got 8 laps to go after this one. It's going to be 8 thrilling laps to conclude this championship. Twisteri with another 3-second time penalty. As the RB goes around the outside, put himself inside the top 10. Sold him in at 1.4 seconds behind. Kai has gained half a second on the last lap. At the moment he is looking at a podium finish, but so is Jesus and Jumpy Painter. They're all fighting for P3 in this race. Tolu in the lead, 3/10 ahead of Parsifal, as we will go on to lap 19 of this race. Kiratsu is on the charts. He's now past the Alpine of Kainzon as well, and to put himself into P9. Now looking at the back of Wardy. Shark doing a good job as well in P7. As Kiratsu sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:28.118. And you do get a point for the fastest lap if you finish inside the top 10. And Sly DJ is retired in pit lane to become our 5th retirement. Unfortunately, not his day. Two seconds is the gap between Soul Demon and Kai. And it's now under 2 seconds. As the Haas with the tire advantage is slowly but surely closing the gap. towards the Sauber. Sauber will still secure the Constructors' Championship. As Parzival gets past Tolu again to put his McLaren at the front of the field again. But the Constructors' Championship will be little consolation for Soul Demon, I can imagine. As he had one hand on the Drivers' Championship trophy going into this race. And that hand is starting to slip away. Oh, into the wall goes Kainzon with Twosteri out of the final corner. The Alpine finds the gravel trap, and so did the Red Bull, and they have collided. Kainzon down to P14 while his teammate retakes the lead of this race with 6 laps to go. Kai continuing to close the gap, and it's now 1.1 seconds to Soul Demon ahead. He's gonna try and get within the DRS range with the use of some ERS. Getting closer, and is now under 1 second to Soul Demon. As Kiratsu is up to P7, he's got past Shark as well. And is now starting to close the gap towards the top 6 actually, so he is doing quite a good job in this race. As there comes Wardy, he's gonna get past Shark, and he's up at the P8. Knowing that the car in front of him has got a 3-second time penalty. On lap 21 of 26. 6 laps to go in this race. And will we see any more drama in this championship fight? And that is a mistake from Parzival through turn 3. Kainzon, 10-second penalty in the pit lane, and he has retired from the session as well. Involved in an incident with Twisteri a lap ago. And he's decided to call it a day. As Kai gets past Soul Demon, who drops down to P4. And is now going to be under pressure from Jesus. And there's nothing but the Saubers can really do in the Drivers' Championship. They looked so strong after qualifying. We're in such a good position at the end of lap 1. But just like that, it can all fade away in the blink of an eye. Soul Demon still in the fight for this podium position on track, but with that 10-second time penalty he will drop behind significantly, and I think will be around Alpha Hype Wall, just behind, so it would be P10. And Joby Painter's now dropped behind this group as well. 1.3 seconds struggling on these mediums. And it's going to be a matter of time before Kiratsu closes the gap. But he has got a 6-second time penalty. As Soul Demon has to have a look up the inside of Kai. But he's not going to go for the overtake. He's going to have to wait until the hangar straight to really go for the move. Actually, he's not. He's going to go into Cop's corner up the inside. He goes, and Soul Demon's back into P3. But that is going to give the DRS to Kai, who for sure is going to find a way past on the hangar straight in a moment of time. Bit of a moment there for Soul Demon as well. And here comes the Haas alongside and ahead. And Jesus is going to follow him through, and Jesus is going to go for double overtake as he goes up the inside of Kai into Stowe, and the Mercedes is up at the P3. Bit of contact between himself and Kai, and almost Soul Demon going around getting caught up in that. Now we're going wheel to wheel with Kai into the final chicane, but Soul Demon is going to try and stay ahead, but they're still going wheel to wheel, going to the final corner. The Sauber just ahead of the Haas, but a brilliant move there from Jesus, taking 2 cars at once, and he is going to go for that final spot on the podium from I can never find this information. There we go, from 14th on the grid. Didn't even realize, but what a comeback drive he's had, like he usually does in Tier 3. But here comes Soul Demon, pulls alongside, and he's back into P3, and Kai is going to get back ahead as well. So the brilliant overtake that Jesus just put off has not really been has been for nothing, because he's down to P5 again. But great fighting here at the end of this race, as Kai is going wheel to wheel with Soul Demon, and he's still nearly going into the wall, as there was contact on the run towards Cops corner. And now going wheel to wheel into Maggots and Baggots, but Soul Demon hangs it round the outside to stay ahead of the Haas of Kai, as Jumpy Painter pushing Jesus through the corner, has a moment on the exit, and through goes Kiratsu up to P6. Kai goes around the outside of Soul Demon again, and here comes the RB up the inside of the Mercedes. Bit of contact between the two, but he gets the job done, and he's now up into P5. But Jesus is getting swamped there, down to P7, as Jumpy Painter is going to get past as well, up into P6. What a scrap we're having here for P3. The 2 drivers have got a time penalty, so Kai at the moment has got the best cards for that final spot on the podium. While the battle is still going on at the front for the race win, Tolu and Parzival. 3 laps to go. Is it going to be an Alpine? Or is it going to be the McLaren bringing home the biggest trophy on the podium? Either way, it looks like Tolu will bring the biggest trophy altogether home tonight, which will be the championship trophy. Soul Demon gets ahead of Kai into Cops corner, and through goes Kiratsu as well, as we go wheel to wheel into Maggots and Baggots. And what has happened? Kai's off into the grass. As he made contact, he rejoins down in P7, picks up a 3-second time penalty as well as he cuts the corner. But did he make contact? I wonder, as he gets past Jumpy Painter again. Here comes Jesus around the outside of Soul Demon, and he's up into P4. And Kiratsu now in P3. Toen komt eruit. Yep. Great addition to the commentary. And what a moment there from Kiratsu. Out of the final corner, all out of shape. And he drops down to P5 again. With that, Soul Demon and Jesus both getting past. Now with Kai's penalty, it's looking to be a walk in the park for Jesus for that final spot on the podium, because Jumpy Painter is 3-4 positions behind, but Soul Demon has to go on the inside of the Mercedes, and is Soul Demon going to try and get his teammate on the podium? I wonder. Might as well. And here comes the RB alongside, fighting it out, hits the back of the Sauber. Mercedes still hanging around the outside, which will turn it the inside line for Lovefield. Bit of contact between the two again. And Jesus now struggling for grip, and here comes Kai, almost with 2 wheels on the grass. He's put himself back into the fight. What a scrap at the end of this race for P3, as we can almost go side by side. Jumpy Painter wheel to wheel with Jesus through Cops corner, and Jesus is going to get ahead of the Sauber. I really couldn't tell you who was going to get this final spot on the podium. Oh, and Soul Demon with a 3-second time penalty. It doesn't really matter anymore, as Kiratsu gets past. He will be in P3 coming onto the final lap, as Kai is going to try and go around the outside in the stall. Wheel to wheel we go once again, with Soul Demon. Has a slight moment on the exit. The Haas up the inside into the chicane, but they're still fighting, still going at it. And Soul Demon, is he going to get ahead? More contact between the two, and he is into P4. But we have arrived on the final lap of this race. Well, the battle has been going on for P3. There's another fight going on, and it's the fight for the race win. Gap is 6.5 seconds. to P3. And Jesus and Jumpy Painter once again fighting it out. Parsifal is going to stay behind Tolu. But either way, it is not going to matter for Alpine and Tolu. As Bardi now picks up a 3-second time penalty. Tolu's going to try and save the whole battery to defend against Parsifal on the hangar straight. But the McLaren is very close to the back of the Alpine. The Alpine, who was in the fight for the championship last season, but a heartbreaking season finale left him without the championship trophy. While we see Parsifal trying to go around the outside, Tolu is going to fight for this race win, no matter if he's going to win the championship. They're going wheel to wheel into the final chicane. Parsifal on the inside, Tolu round the outside, and Tolu has got it. Parsifal is going to try and get past, but he's not going to do it, and Tolu is going to cross the line to win the British Grand Prix and to win the Tier 3 championship as well. Tolu is your champion. Finally he's done it. After a heartbreaking end to the season finale of last season. Tolu, what a drive, what a performance all season long. And he is your new F1 Broke Boys Tier 3 champion. A very impressive drive from him today to not only bring home the win, but bring home the championship as well, under immense pressure in that first stint. Incredible stuff. What a response after last season indeed. And he came back as a champion. And in what better way to do so than to win it at Silverstone. We've got a new Tier 3 champion. Parsifal, with a very strong drive, will finish in second place, and Jesus, P14 to P3, another incredible comeback. Jumpy Painter finishes in P4 ahead of Kai. Alpha Wardy Shark, Kirasu with the fastest lap, and Lennons rounds out the top 10. Mahmoudov, P11, Soldium, and after his penalties, finishes all the way down in P12. Unfortunately for him, Twister in P13, and that are all the finishers. So yeah, get the race director. If anyone needs it, it's on stream. You can check it after the race. But wow, what an end to the season. And what a way to wrap up this championship, the final season of F1 24. Might have been a little bit of an anticlimax for the championship, but we have sure seen some incredible battles all race long. Whether it was for the race win or for the final spot on the podium. Incredible drive from all these drivers. And especially Tolu for bringing home the championship. And he's got his revenge. That sees the end then of F1 Broke Boys Season 12, Tier 3. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate this tier every single week for all 12 rounds of the season. And I have thoroughly enjoyed doing so. And without a doubt, we'll be back next season, which will be on F1 25. I want to thank you all for tuning in for this stream. and all the other streams this season and watching me along in this journey, in this fight for the championship. But that's it for me tonight and this season. But I'll see you again very, very soon. And hope to see you again as well next season for some more incredible action in F1 Broke Boys. Thank you all for watching. Have a good evening and